Feel free to get as like production nerdy as you want. I want to talk about everything. I think that the album may be kind of quietly groundbreaking in that it's an album from a gay man that exudes so much passion. And I think you've described it as a love letter. What was your goal with it?
First of all, have you heard the whole thing?
Yes.
Amazing. Cool. No, yeah, I was just like feeling things that I'd never felt before, and I'm super in love, and so I wanted to talk about it and write about it and all of the kind of little ins and outs of how that feels and what that means. And so that was sort of a big goal. Then also a big one for me was not censoring anything really, you know, as far as like nothing is too personal or too vulnerable, or as well, like I think with the first album I was kind of conscious of just making things like a bit more like palatable to everybody.
Yeah.
And this time I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to make music for like me and for my people, you know. Nothing was too much, and we would, you know, just really like write from the heart about everything. And then as well, I wanted to make the album like epic. Yeah.
Yes, you can really tell.
Good.
That comes through.
Awesome.
I think I read that you went into this album wanting to craft your own musical identity. What would you describe that identity as now?
I think it's a lot poppier than it was. Like a lot more. I'm much less scared of like pop music than I was. I would hope that by the time people have finished listening to the album, they would kind of know to not expect anything really. You know, that first and foremost, I think I feel like a songwriter, and for me, the funnest thing in the world is like exploring that and trying a bunch of different things. And that was sort of, you know, what I wanted to do with this album was like take a song from the Smiths and use that as inspiration, and then take a Carly Rae Jepsen song and use that as inspiration, because both of those things are like equally as exciting to me, you know.
How do you take a song from the Smiths and use it as an inspiration in 2018?
Loosely. It was a guitar strumming pattern that I heard that I was like, oh, that.
Because I do wonder when people say things like that, and I'm like, but it's a pop song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I for Good Side, that strumming pattern.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the song 17, which I think may be very relatable for a lot of queer youth. Some of the lyrics are a little bit sinister, but the song is also kind of upbeat. Talk me through that song.
Yeah, that was a tough one to navigate, because though it was a real experience that I'm singing about, it's not necessarily a comfortable one to sing about or talk about, and definitely something that I don't want to like, you know, condone. But upon speaking to friends and stuff like that, you know, asking them did they have a similar experience, everyone was a resounding yes. Like, I've been there and that's what I went through, and it seemed more important to me to talk about it than to pretend it wasn't happening, you know. And we had versions of that song that were more sinister, that seemed really like predatory and weird, which sometimes that's the way that I feel about that situation. And we had other songs that were more, other versions of it that felt a bit more kind of like vanilla, but then I felt like that was almost like giving it too much wonderment, you know, and I didn't want to do that either. And so I think we kind of finally settled on this middle ground where I hope you can feel all of the like curiosity, because I was curious, and all of the awe, because there was that too, but then as well kind of with the distance that I have from the situation now, I did want it to feel a little like creepy and menacing, because that's kind of how it feels now, you know.
Yeah. No, I think that middle ground definitely shines through.
Good, I hope
I'm interested to see how people react to that song. I think it'll be very different from first listen to a few listens in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very interested in that. But it's very good.
Oh,
I'm
thank
here
you.
for it. I think this album handles relationships ending very with maturity.
Oh,
like
good.
for example, on The Good Side, and even more playfully on Plum, which is so good.
Thanks.
Did you go into that consciously, deciding to, you know, handle it with some, like, a lot of maturity instead of like angry breakup songs?
Well, the thing is that I'm not angry about the breakup, you know. The breakup that I'm talking about on this happened a really long time ago, and I have a lot of distance from it now, but still, you know, it's one of those things where I think it's like your first relationship will always be a thing in the back of your mind a little bit, you know. It's like every now and then it'll pop up and I'll think about it. And yeah, writing about that with that distance kind of, I think, automatically provides some maturity to the situation, because those feelings aren't necessarily as like fresh as they once were. But yeah, you know, I also just am conscious of the fact that I still care about that person and don't want to ever, you know, just be insensitive and yeah.
It's lovely. It's lovely to hear.
Good.
It comes through on the album.
Good.
So you worked with some Swedish producers on this album.
Lots.
How are they different to your usual crew? Are they intimidating?
Not at all. Super, super, super nice. Very chill, very relaxed. I think that the difference is, and this is not to like drag any sort of American producers or anything like that, but they're just so hardworking and meticulous. Like, I remember we were in the studio writing Bloom, and I had tracked all of the vocals for the chorus, and it was like stacks and stacks and stacks of vocals. And Peter Svensson, who I was writing with, who's like such an amazing, iconic Swedish writer, he was like, wait, what if instead of I bloom, it's yeah, I bloom? And I was like, okay, I can go back and redo absolutely everything to add that little thing. And we did it, and I got back into the room and I was like it just changed everything.
Yeah, it really does take it to another level.
Yeah, I think he was saying that the gap between the pre-chorus and the chorus was just too long. And so, yeah, I don't know, these little like genius moves that they make really, really help. And they take the time to make the suggestion and follow through with whatever that means, you know? They'll do anything it takes to get the song to be perfect. Yeah.
So you've got a collaboration on this album with Gordy. How did that one come about?
I wasn't even writing yet. Like, I was still on holiday, basically. And I heard that Gordy was in LA, only for a few days, though. And so my A&R was like, oh, I know you're not writing at the moment, but do you have any interest in going in with Gordy? And I was like, yes, 100%. So we went in, and that one was weird because I hadn't started making the album yet. I didn't know where to even start with like production. I had no idea what the kind of sounds were going to be on the album, and so we started just writing on piano. And the plan was to just write on piano and then produce it up later. And so we just recorded a scratch vocal of the song that wasn't like to click or anything like that. There was no sort of any extra elements of production or anything. And Gordy sang her background vocals and the bridge, and that's the version that's on the album.
It really works. It feels timeless. Like that could slot in on any album, no matter the sound.
Good.
How do you tell the difference between an artist you love and an artist you want on your album?
I think it comes down to song by song. You know, I think that like Dance to This to me, like asked for Ariana. You know what I mean? Like
most songs do.
Yeah, she's an easy one to slot in for sure. But yeah, you know, I think it's sort of a mixture of like circumstance and also luck and timing, and all of these things have to align, and then musically it of course has to be perfect, and so it happens kind of rarely, but when it does, it's special.
When you got that vocal from Ariana, what was that feeling like?
Well, first I got a voice memo of her recording like just the speakers, and it was just the first like 2 lines, and I was with Leland and I played it to him, and we were just like laughing, like hysterically laughing, because it was just the most surreal thing in the entire world. Also, as a songwriter, like to have Ariana Grande sing lyrics and melodies that you wrote, and for her to sound as amazing as she does, it's like, I don't know, it's the best thing in the whole world.
Does that make you want to get more into writing for other artists?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was just so fun. I want to do it more.
I want to talk about Plum, because that might be my favorite. It's
really
such a bop.
Good to know.
Of the new tracks.
Yeah.
What's the story of that song?
That one I wrote in LA with some of the Max Martin crew and Leland and Ali X, just talking about how, you know, even something really, really beautiful can slowly turn into something that's not, or can slowly like erode, and just how weird that is. And the lyric is, even the sweetest plum has only got so long. And I was like, whoa, that's like too real and also really sad. But we had this production that was like, it felt like Phil Collinsy or something like that, and it was just really interesting to me and cool. And so we started writing the song that is really heartfelt and sad, and it's kind of about that moment where it's like you wake up earlier than the person you're laying next to, and you look at them and you're like, I think I'm gonna break up with this person. And it's a rough moment, you know, it's like a really, really tough, hard thing where you've kind of come to that realization in the back of your head that maybe this isn't gonna last forever, and the other person maybe has no idea, or you haven't spoken about it yet. And it's about that kind of awful moment of limbo when things start to kind of fall apart.
Very, very dark, but wrapped up in such a fun package.
I know, I can't wait to like be prancing around to it on stage. It's so fun.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah.
Animal has a very different production style, I think. How hands-on are you with the production of songs? Are you there like selecting everything, or do sometimes you leave it to the experts?
I'm extremely hands-on. One of my favorite parts of making music is being hands-on with the production and picking sounds and picking delays and picking distortions.
And when all that's done, how do you choose which ones make the album? That seems so difficult.
For me, it's not that hard because like I'll stop writing when I feel like I've got it. I'll write, and then I'm like, okay, that one is like definitely on there. Like, and then I'll just write until that happens again. And once that's happened like 10 times, maybe I'll keep going for a little bit and then switch some stuff out. But most of the time I only write. I knew that I wanted to make a 10-track album, and I wrote, I mean, probably like 50 songs, but it took me that long to get 10 that I was like obsessed with.
Thank you so much for talking to
No
us.
worries.
Bloom is out now. Go and get it. Go and stream it. It's great.
Thanks.
Camera.
Do it.